Hi, my name is June, Hairdresser on Fire, and I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you a little behind the scenes of my main magic. It's an hour-long appointment of me cutting your hair, and I call it Hairapy. And basically what that means is it's a holistic haircut, and it has three key components. So in order for us to look our best, meaning our most youthful and our most vibrant, at any age, any stage of the game, we want to make sure that three things are intact so that we look our most magical and that we, we engage with our audience effectively. And that is a two-part team process. So the first thing will always be your hair health. You'll hear me say this time and time again, whether you've been a new client or I've been seeing you for decades, I will always take a look at how happy the hair is. And simply put, it involves two things. If your hair is short, it'll really only look great when you first get your hair cut with your barber or your hairdresser, and then as it grows out instead of down. So what that means is it's very dehydrated, and we're washing too much, we're not conditioning enough, we're not combing things through, perhaps we're using heat, we're not adding something to it whenever it's damp, we're not adding something to it when it's dry. So unfortunately, it makes us look exhausted really fast. Now, if your hair is longer than a barbered haircut or a short pixie, so past the hairline, which is different for each of us, high, medium, or low hairline, you'll notice from there down, it will tend to look poofy, full, dry. It won't match the rest of the hair, and sometimes that indicates that there's too much heat, too much shampooing, and not enough conditioning, of course, not enough support system at home that we can definitely remedy that. But the thing about it is that you typically have to cut off the exhausted hair and really focus on your root area and having everything that comes from the root to the mid-lengths to the ends be very hydrated. And when we look very hydrated, even as a person, we look more youthful, more vibrant, more full of life, and that's the life force that we're trying to showcase in our hair. So that is a big thing. So the second thing that I can do for someone is take the bottom panel of the hair. So if I scoop up the bottom, pull out the bottom, it'll be about yay, and that will be the first section for a hairdresser. So we see that part of your hair, you don't really see that. So take this opportunity and scoop out the back, lift the top up, and gauge. Look at how healthy that panel of hair is. So typically it'll be opaque, meaning not see-through, and that'll be full, strong, healthy hair. And then it'll get a little bit see-through. So it starts to get a little broken, and then it'll get a little bit more see-through and eventually broken. So that's the level of hair that should come off in a haircut in order for you to get a very happy, healthy head of hair. So those are two parts of looking at hair health. And that's the first thing that I do with every new guest. Even if you've been a client for many, many moons, if it looks unhealthy, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna give you the hand mirror and say, let's take a look at the back. Let's see what's happening back here, and then make some decisions together. Some people are very attached to their hair length emotionally. That is okay. You're just gonna have your hairdresser or your barber, take a little bit more off each time. And as you go through your home care, you're going to be complementing your hair with what it needs. You're going to be giving it what it needs. It's therapy for your hair. So it makes a lot of sense to explain that to guests, and then that way we can take mutual ownership. I can give you a very well tailored haircut, which happens to be a full hour long, sometimes 2 hours long, and I'm cutting your hair from the minute you get there to the minute you leave. That way it looks good in that form. So whether I've barbered it or I've flat ironed it first and done the haircut that way, which is for a lot of people very, very unusual, very unique. The reason for that is you're blending everything as effectively as possible. And then the second thing is it will look even better in its natural state, i.e. wavy if you're fortunate to have wave in your hair, texture in your hair, which makes this look more youthful. And if you have curl, it will look even better in that natural state. So it's not to shock the client into you have to wear your hair straight. That's not the game plan at all. And straight hair really does look best when we are very, very youthful. There's no lines, there's no wrinkles. that is where we look a little bit more intense, and as we get a little older, we tend to look a little softer or harder. So you want softness in your hairstyle. You want, if you've got weave, you want to really encourage it and love it, and it's our best version of ourselves. So that's hair health. The second component is the time of year appropriate haircut. And simply put, a really good haircut should last you 2 to 4 months. If it's on the shorter side, 2 months for sure. It can get you to 3 months, 4 months if you wish. Middle length, which is basically mid-neck to collarbone, just past the collarbone, so this sort of area, will look best on most of us. And we'll notice that that should last you 4 months to 5 to 6. So again, if you're taking really good care of your hair at home, your haircut's gonna last way longer. Bravo. And so in the summer, we're our finest versions of ourselves. We're getting vitamin D, we're more active, we're a little bit more social, just a little bit. And so we want to have the hair look bouncy, wash and go, very easy to style and easy to manage. And so you might do shorter layers. You'll definitely grow at any fringing. You'll have maybe a lot of layers around the face or around the frame of the jawline, the neckline, and there's lots of bounce, lots of movement. You're working with the weather. Then you get into fall, where wardrobe changes. So you're gonna have some pieces of the haircuts that are right around the jawline. So you've got collars, scarves, jackets. The wardrobe is a lot of layering. So you're getting a lot of attention in this area. So you wanna go cleaner with your lines, maybe throw in a fringe or a curtain fringe or a sweeping fringe, or just have a little bit more layering around the face. And then that way it's not so layered where the drier, colder weather starts to actually speed up the process of drying out and breaking the hair. You get into winter, hoods, hats, all the stuff we not as social as at all. So you're going to want to do things that are definitely going to not be too crazy layered and not be too soft, just because it won't last as long as it would in the summer. And then spring a little lighter and you're back to summer, bouncy self, fun, vibrant. And then the third process of really a successful haircut is looking at our features. It should be the first thing that we look at, but in my experience over this past 2 decades, I've noticed most people, when I first meet them and I meet their hair, most of us have very thirsty, dry, broken, fragile hair. It's either washed too much, not conditioned enough, no masking happens. They don't use anything when the hair is damp or wet to help the hair translate from wet or damp to dry. They don't do finishing serums or pomades to like close the cuticle. So unfortunately, the hair is very thirsty. So when it comes to features, you're going to be looking at what's the prominent feature that pops off the page. So most of us have one sparkly standout feature, and the blessing is the color, the shape, the fullness, the structure, all of those things together. So we're typically eye dominant or lip dominant, depending on how many features we're blessed with by our genes. And then what we don't have, we can use makeup for some. We can have where our haircut is sitting to give a little bit of balance. And the whole point is, think of ourselves as an art piece. So whenever you are introduced to someone, they don't know you, they don't know your personality, they're looking at features first and then the frame. So ideally, like an art piece, you have a focal point, you have a secondary focal point, and then you have a background. You want it to go all together. So when someone meets you, they say, you look great. That's a successful haircut. So you wanna literally decode what we have naturally, and you wanna bring attention to places that are not as dazzling. So if you're eye dominant, shall we say, then you don't need to have all of this action up here. You can maybe go more cheekbone or lip or jawline or around here if you're very low maintenance. So all those components together, included in a 1 hour long tutorial on how to take care of your hair with samples that will support that haircut, will be an entire hour of Hairapy, and I can't wait to give it to you. See you soon.